Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Streamline. Of course, we're glad to be back. This is the Streamline. Of course, in the studio, I'm joined by my colleague Georgina Mwanza. Good morning, Georgina.
Good morning, Thomas. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. And how have you been?
I've been okay. Good to know that you're back here and we're surviving.
Yeah, we are surviving. Of course, masking up, important there.
Yes.
All right, so two issues we're addressing today on the program. Of course, opening up of some sectors by the president, places of worship, and of course some sporting activities as well. The second issue being gender-based violence.
Yeah.
We've seen an increase so far. What has gone wrong and what is causing that? More on the other side. Welcome back. This is the Streamline. We go into our first issue, the opening up of some sectors, some activities, rather.
Yeah.
We saw the president opening up some places of worship and of course some sporting activities, which include tennis and of course golf, which do not require people to meet. And of course, on this issue, we hear from a politician, president of the Third Liberation Party, Enoch Tonga, who had sentiments that of course seemed to be against the move. Let's take a listen.
While encouraging the worshippers to continue seeking God through prayer and fasting in their various homes or solitary places, Zambia should have fought COVID-19 to zero first through lockdowns of selective hotspots and subjecting of people to mandatory screening and testing of the disease.
All right, so that was a Third Liberation President Enoch Tonga who is sharing his sentiments. And of course, not only him, we'll come back for the analysis, but let's just take a listen also.
Yeah, so we had Dr. Peter Hangoma, who is HOD, Health, Police and Management at the University of Zambia, who is justifying the move by the president to open some sectors such as places of worship and some sporting activities. This is what we got from him.
We are saying restaurants are some of the industries as we are trying to open up. Those are some of the places which we can say, let's move on to open up. So what we are saying is, I think the precautions should continue as guided by the Ministry of Health. But I think even as we do whatever we are doing, we have to continue social distancing, physical distancing, hand hygiene must continue.
Right, so that was Dr. Peter Hangoma, who is an UNZA researcher and of course HOD in policy management at the University of Zambia. Of course, those two sentiments coming in from Dr. Hangoma and of course Mr. Tonga. Also, what do you make of it, especially the opening up of some of these activities?
Okay, so I'll bring you back from where the thing started from. So before we even recorded the case in Zambia, we saw how the virus spread throughout Africa. And other countries were so scared to spread the virus where they had to shut down some operations such as school and colleges and everything, large gatherings. So it came to Zambia where now the directive came from the Republican President, Dr. Edgar Chagwa through the Ministry of Health to shut down schools, universities and mass gatherings. That was before any of the case was recorded. Done. After 2-3 days later, we saw 3 cases were recorded. That's how now it came and saying no, bars, restaurants should close. But for restaurants, it was a direct like no, they should operate on a takeaway basis. But we saw how this was so hard for people to adhere. And churches were closed because that's where people come from different
mass
places. Mass gatherings, which were churches mostly. Yes.
Now looking at how this was done, and of course on the day the president announced the opening up of places of worship, 8 cases were recorded on that day. 4 from the community and of course 4 from health workers as well. You know, what do you make of it? Do you think this is viable now that, you know, places of worship have opened up, which were closed even before the cases were recorded? Of course, which the sentiments being shared also by Mr. Ponga there.
Yeah, you might take it from both sides of the story because you say, okay, yes, the cases have risen. Because we also look at the number of people who have recovered. I feel it's balancing at the end of the day. So if we're all going to say yes, no matter how many cases, yes, we should shut down, we also look at how long this will last. What if it will last for a year? Are we going to be closed down for a year? Those are the questions we should be asking. Yes. Yeah, not going to church and mass gatherings. Yeah, people are disagreeing, but let's also look at it at the positive side of the story. Let's not always put in negativity to whatever someone says. Let's also have space for positive vibe.
All right, so those are sentiments coming in on the opening up of some sectors, places of worship and sporting activities. We move to our second issue on the table.
Yes.
Gender-based violence issues have, been on the table now, have increased. Even the UN also taking note of that. And of course, bringing it down to Zambia, the NGOCC just last week complained, about the increasing number of gender-based violence cases. Could this be because of, the stay-home, measures being put in place by government because of COVID-19? People can't, stay together for a long time, adults?
I don't think it's really that to some people, because some people are just generally violent. Because let's look at the case where on 21st of April, where the woman was beaten by the husband, but then later went to the hospital to seek for medical attention. But it was so unfortunate the time she reached at that hospital, she was raped by the health personnel. You get my point? Now, how does it have to say with people stay home with these increased cases? We also look at the case of the last week incident where a 36-year-old man was having an affair with a 16-year-old child who was murdered, chopped in 2 pieces and packed in a sack through some rituals. Would you say it's also as a result of the lockdown issue, stay at home?
All right. Of course, sentiments coming in also from the public are that it could be a concern also. People stay home because it's not only these cases that have been recorded, but even just cases of, torture as well. And of course, the general gender-based violence as well. It could be a contributor as well. But bringing in the key issue, really, could this be a contributor? Because, generally adults would tell kids to say, once kids mingle together, they are always prone to, having a fight or something. Can't adults, just live together normally?
Okay, I would argue on some certain percentage, because where the people, yes, we all say no, there's supposed to be an argument, but an argument shouldn't result into violence. Yes, arguments are always supposed to be there.
Okay, so this is the Streamline, and of course this is where we are coming to a close of the show. Of course, the 2 issues we were looking at, the opening up of some activities, places of worship, and of course sports activities as well, as announced by the President on a Friday last week. Of course, we're expecting the President to address the nation on next Friday, I believe, because it was said that 7 days after that there will be the next address. All right, of course, just appreciation also to all stakeholders that have come on board, to also kind of fight this pandemic also. Georgina, you're closing your remarks.
Yeah, my closing remarks are also giving appreciations to our Zambian artists who've come on board. Keep it up to our Zambian artists. A good job you have done out there.
Alright, this is where we come to a close of the Streamline. This has been Thomas Nyangulu Jr. and
Georgina Mwanza.
So till next time, it's bye-bye and God bless. Thank you.